Good day, fellow podcast enthusiasts. My name is Raymond, and I want to share with you a little infographic we made. And this infographic is about internet tips for podcast guests. It could be good tips for a host as well. Maybe if you're a podcast host, this will also be good tips for you. I'll make the link available to download if you want to. It's going to be a PDF or a JPEG. All right, so let's jump into it. Your internet connection is your lifeline. Now, I'm sure I don't have to put any stress on how important it is to have your internet connection up and running at all times during your broadcast or your interview or your streaming with a podcast episode. It can be very frustrating if either parties of the interview drops because of their internet connection. It could jeopardize the quality of the show. All right, so next one. What is the recommended line speed to have? So I would recommend a 10 megabytes per second line, symmetrical, with your upload and your download speed being the same. That's what symmetrical means. And if you're the only user on a 10 megabyte per second line, then I would say this would be perfect for you, because I don't think that the video and the audio would exceed this 10 megabytes per second internet line of yours. So granted, you are the only person using this internet connection. If you've got maybe some kids or some folks living with you in your house, then it might be a good idea to tell them just to maybe give you a 30-minute chance or so while you are busy with your interview, so that they don't suck up your internet speed and affect your quality of the show that you're trying to give. So I think that's pretty self-explanatory as well. All right, so disconnect any other devices. So generally when you've got a PlayStation, or maybe your TV is connected to your Wi-Fi, or maybe you've got another device that's just occasionally there, and they can update at the most impossible times, and they can also then end up using all of your bandwidth on your internet connection, and that can affect your upload speed as well as your download speed, which will also once again jeopardize your interview. Tools to test your internet connection. So megapath.com is a really great speed test site, and they'll basically measure your speed as well as your packet loss. Now, packet loss is something that is affecting the video or the audio call in a way where you'll drop maybe for 2 or 3 seconds on the other side, but then you'll quickly reconnect again. And this can also be very frustrating. I don't know if you've ever been in a call where somebody is lagging out for 2 or 3 seconds. This also affects the quality of a show, and this also affects a lot of aspects of a podcast, which you don't want it to do. Now, packet loss and jittering is something that's generally caused by hardware, or it's generally caused by your ISP, rarely by the ISP, but it's more on your hardware side. And this is a great way to test if you've got packet loss, is to go to megapath.com and do this little speed test. And I would say a good way to keep it in check is having your packet loss or your jitter between 1 or 3 milliseconds. That won't be as visible or as audible as if that was, for instance, 10 or 15 milliseconds packet loss. So I'll speak a bit more about that later on, and how you can actually improve on that. So you also see that when you do a speed test, a lot of times if you are paying your ISP every month for 100 megabytes per second line, then it won't constantly give you 100 megabytes per second, as the internet nature is a bit inconsistent. So sometimes you'll maybe get 95 megabytes per second, sometimes you'll maybe get 97 megabytes per second, but that will always fluctuate. But that's not really something to concern yourself with. All right. Upgrade your internet hardware. So investing into a good router, like I've got this one over here, and this is a TP-Link one. TP-Link makes really good hardware, and this is the Archer, I think, yeah, the Archer C60. So this is one I bought a while ago, and I love this router. Ever since I bought this router, my internet connection has just been so much better, and it also provides a 5 gigahertz connection. So 5 gigahertz is a much more stable internet connection that cuts through all the noise, if I can put it like that. And you'll also be able to get a better signal on your Wi-Fi devices, and any device that's not plugged in directly with the LAN cable or the Ethernet cable will benefit from a 5 gigahertz router. This can also reduce the packet loss, like as I explained previously. So if you're feeling that you may be experiencing these little small mini lags, this would be a good place to start, is investing into a proper 5 gigahertz router. The other thing that I got is I also got this little connection. This is a USB connection, and what this does is basically plugs into your computer and then it interfaces with your router, also on a 5 gigahertz level. Next thing is troubleshooting tips. So like I said over here, most of the problems is Wi-Fi related. So a lot of times buying a new router can help solving your problems. And I would suggest maybe if you've got a friend or family that has a 5 gigahertz router, maybe chat with them, ask them if you can maybe borrow their router for a day and just see if that solves your problems. So I would definitely say that's a good way to start figuring out what your problems might be with your internet. Otherwise, you can always phone your ISP and tell them, listen, I'm experiencing these kind of problems, and maybe a lot of times the problem can be on their side, where maybe some communal worker was working down the street and he was fixing a sidewalk and they ended up damaging your fiber internet line or something along those lines. So it's a good way to also check with your ISP. But with fiber internet, the most amazing thing is they can actually see to the millimeter where the problem is in that cable. So a lot of times the ISPs take care of these kind of problems, but that would be the two best ways to troubleshoot, is if you are going to upgrade your router or phone your ISP. Most of the times you can resolve your internet problems. Then the final thing I want to talk about is having a backup internet line. Now, backup is essential in my opinion, and a great way to make a backup is using your phone. If you turn your phone onto a Wi-Fi hotspot, granted you've got a good reception wherever you're doing your interview, this can be a great backup. So if you drop in the call, you can within seconds be up on the backup and continue with your interview. Obviously this would be a small hiccup, but it's still better than your internet connection dropping and you don't know what's the problem. So always have your phone ready as a mobile hotspot. And that's it for this infographic, guys. I hope you enjoyed the content, and if you want to download it, I'll provide a link where you can download it. Otherwise, go to podcastconnection.org and you'll see it over there under our infographic section. All right, till next time.